Yeah, get your hair camera
I'm
ready.
set.
Yeah, we're here with the legendary Coach Doug. Coach Doug, tell them what they need to do with YouTube.
You need to follow the Happy Pill on YouTube.
Yeah, do you need to hit the like button?
Absolutely
You
hit the
need
like
to share
button.
the video?
How can you not share the videos?
You need to check the video description for important information on the technique, the Happy Pill project, ways you can help support the channel.
Reading comprehension, read it all.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe.
These passes off of this stack, right, where the person was like this, right, and you were going left and right. You were going here, you're going over there. I just want you to do that portion as a drill, so you get comfortable, so that when we land in side control is when we're going to start the move that we're going to drill today. So you can do either side. You're just getting comfortable, and the bottom player's not doing anything. Either you come in this way, and now you square up this way like this, or in the course of him defending, I'm just going to keep your leg down. Put that leg down. I'm like this, and I'm trying to come around, and now I told you, okay, that's not happening because he keeps pressing on my hip. So I brought this knee up, and I stepped it this way, and I came through this way, okay? And now I land here. We're going to play it, and there's going to be different things that we're going to do. But we're going to play it that we have this underhook. So I just want you to do the move, just so you don't lose the essence. You got to keep drilling it. So, man, unless you're going to quit your job, you're not going to drill 10,000 times and ingrain it so deep. So the more that we can redo it over and over, it becomes habit, right? So we end up in side control like this, okay? And now we're just going to go in simple arm bar, but I'm going to ask you to do things that your hands are here, right? You just landed here, you got side control, and now you're like this. I'm going to ask you to do it lightly. You don't have to force anything, but I'm going to ask you to check a lot of boxes, okay? So the first thing you want to do is, I obviously do not want this hand to butterfly in front of my face, because then he's going to access my Adam's apple, my throat line. He's going to start pressing into it, and no matter how strong I am, if he puts this underneath me and starts jamming up, I'm going to retract. Just can't do anything about it. So I'd love for this hand not to be there. So my head is going to trap this arm, and I'm going to be aggressively tilted this way. And if for some reason it does get underneath, then you switch your positions and your hand positions. You do not stay there. You don't stay in the side control. You switch your hand positions. I was like this. So for any reason, this hand came under my throat. Yeah, it came under my throat, and he's pressing away on me. My hands are flipping to opposite quadrants, and all I'm doing is tilting. Because if I don't switch this hand to this pocket, and I tilt, he's going to come up to turtle on me, so I have to make a wedge here. All right? And remember, because this is here, I don't want to get separated like this, that he slides this in on me, and now he starts bridging away from me to bring the recovery leg in, right? So there's a reason why I was like this. Hands were on, one was here, one was here. But now this came underneath, so I flip the hand positions and I tilt the head, and now I can go the other way, or I can come back in inside and then regain the position without the throat line being affected. Okay, but let's go back a second now. Now I told you you're here, and now I'd love to get him up. So I'm going to get him up incrementally. He's not going to give me any defense. Okay, my first reaction is to bring my elbow as far to this shoulder line as possible. Remember, your elbows are your steering wheel for you to tilt your body in different angles. You can't cheat the elbow lines. I'll explain this right now. I'll stay up for a second so everybody can see. When I'm like this curled up, I'm right in front of the bend of the elbow, and I'm protecting my face and this angle like this, so this thing can't butterfly underneath my throat. Now I just told you about your elbow lines, so I'm going to aggressively jam my elbow this way, so I can hold this arm for it not to butterfly. So now you're starting to see my elbow get to the shoulder line. If I've done everything right with so much aggression to drive this elbow, the rest of my body will tilt too. Because if I'm like this, and I'm driving, this is going to happen. Because I'm going to be so focused on this hand not coming over my throat and my elbow. Now I'm at this 45 here, okay? Now, you know what he wants to do? He desperately wants this arm back, right? So I'm going to start making these little wedges and frames behind him. He's going to generate, he's got a problem in that I brought this so far over the top. I protected this with my head. I'm controlling the bend of this elbow. I'm doing everything right, okay? Now I've done this total switch where I'm on a 45, I'm pitched this way. All I wanted to do now before he pulls this back is make a wedge under those hips because he's violently turning the hips. It's not pulling back on the shoulders. I control the top portion. So when I'm here like this and I've done everything right, I make a deep wedge underneath these hips because he's going to be pulling back the arm. So I want to make some form of wedge that I could take this leg and put it over the top and squeeze and pinch my knees tight together. So there's a reinforcement at this point. I've made a wedge under the back line. All I wanted to do was clear my leg to the back side. So now I have two things. Okay, so I've done three things in total right now. I took my elbow to this quadrant on the bottom one. That enabled me to shift my body line so that I'm at a 45. At this point, I'm like this. So I went, let's go back for a second. We'll stay super high up so everybody can see. I came in here. I tilted this so far that I windshield wiper. I made a far side wedge. I stepped over and I took command of this back quadrant for a reason. You can put it down if you want. I will tell you there's good and bad to that. Because what's going to happen at this point, you can switch this to an arm bar. We're not going to go to arm bars yet. I would love to switch my grip so that I land in a Kimura grip. So when I first pick this up, I would love to flip this hand in front, switch my grip, and now I can go back to Kimuras, or I have the option to the arm bar. If you go in backwards with where you have a reverse Kimura, which isn't really a Kimura, but your hands are backwards, meaning this. When I first came up on this, like this, my hands are like this, and you're like this. I'm fine with you as long as you understand this position that I put my hand to the hip line, because when I fall back, and we're talking about this reverse Kimura, so Kimura is normally like this for a reason, because with this hand is why I push this through the pocket to separate the shoulder. But now I'm sitting like this. And now I'm going, man, by the time I flip these freaking hands, this guy's going to come to turtle. And now I've got to take this way, and now I got to bring him back. So now I've got to add these bells and whistles to the equation. I really want to do that. And a high-level player, man, by the time you add those bells and whistles, it gives them more chance to get out on you, okay? So I'm going to ask you to do it a certain way. When you're like this, in the beginning, the footwork is a little bit weird. I made this wedge, I made my second wedge, and now I'm driving up this way for a reason, because I want to bring this leg forward to the back hip line, that when I fall, Rafi, can you come on this side? And I'm going to do this quickly so you guys can see. I'm here going, okay, I'm going to transfer low. As I low, this is where I end up. I cover the back top of that arm, and I don't let go of the elbow. The reason I brought this leg so high up is because when you land, it's not the ideal land. Normally, you would be here on this Kimura, so your inside, the elbow would be on the inside pocket. Because if we go back, we go further into the storyline. He wants to switch this elbow to this pocket so that he can shoulder roll. And go, he does a hitchhiker and he gets out. So I actually always want the elbow line on that side. But now when you fell back, it's a little bit different. With this control position, I can control it a lot. But now I'm sitting like this. And now when I fall back, I got to understand the reason I brought this leg so high up is that if I fell back awkward and I didn't cover for any reason, and now Ethan starts to go on their shoulder, I want to throw that leg over because I want to be down here following him up. Ethan starts to go on their shoulder, I want to throw that leg over because I want to be down here following him up. And now, go back a second. When I first put that leg was in position to follow. Most of the time, as you get better at this, you don't need that. You're going to put that leg over anyway because I got to take command of the far side elbow. So when this leg was here, and I was this way, okay? Not an ideal set, but I understand the mechanics of the move and where he could potentially go. So we're going to go back 1 second. So when you first brought him up, right, you're like this. And now I just told you that you're like this, and you go, man, this guy hunkered down. And you might say to me, I'll tell you a bigger story about this. You might say to me, why didn't you go for the Kimura? Well, yeah, I get it, but now let me paint a different story for you. He's 30 pounds heavier and a really physical good black belt. And you're going to tell me that you're going to separate a Kimura from him? You're not separating anything. He's too physically strong. So why do I fall back in the leg lock position? I mean, in an armbar position? Because I need my legs. Because I'm not physically strong enough to come in here and try and go, I'm yanking and doing all these things like this, and nothing is happening for me. And every time I get more aggressive to go vertical and yank, what do you think's happening? All my balancing is off. So I'm not playing low and tight like this, and I'm going, I'm yanking up, and he's coming up the turtle, and I'm sitting like this. Like, that's not good, okay? So that's a story that does happen, because if he's a good high-level player, man, that thing's going to go wah, 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 and I know the strength, and I go, oh, my God, this guy's freaking strong. I got to get my legs into the fight, okay? So when you first came up, we said we were going to make this pitch. We're going to make this wedge. We're going to step this over. Now, I'm going to tell you about this leg for a second. This leg, I told you could keep it on the mat, not the end of the world, because if I have it on the mat, and for any reason I make this transfer and Ethan goes to turtle, my knee position's perfect to backstep that. But I'm like this, and I just told you to keep it like this. There's a reason like this, because I may decide that I do want to flip my hands. So this leg is my generating force to open up the pocket here. Otherwise, if I'm like this, I don't get the same distance. I'm also off balance. I'm also set that if I pick this up and I'm making this transfer and Ethan comes to turtle, this leg right now is perfectly set to slide out and come this way and bring him back. So I'm set for multiple things after it, okay? So let's go back to the leg position, and we're going to go back. We covered a lot of stuff, and it's going to be on Happy Pill. So if you forget any of the details, you can watch it, okay? You're like this, and you just came up like this. You made your first wedge point. Your elbows are tight, elbows down there. I come up, I put this leg over the top, and I'm going, man, I can't get this thing open. So I'm going to go, okay, let me put my legs into the fight. Now this leg is going to switch here, because when you fall back also, I don't want him coming up on top of me. Meaning this, I come like this and I fall back, and now Ethan comes up and you're like this, and you go, this didn't work out like I planned, right? So there's a reason he comes up. And in the equation I just painted, he was 30 pounds bigger than me, stronger, good black belt. So this leg position that was here is going to slide here. So that when I fall back, my instep becomes a wedge on the top hip. So if I've fallen back correctly, right, I'm like this, and I'm going, you know, I can't separate this hand. I'm sitting so low, and I don't feel like going vertical, because then I might have to go to that bell and whistle down here. I'm going to be all off balance like this, and I'm going, you know what, I got to get my legs back in this fight, because I can at least get to the triangle. I can use my legs to separate the hands. Like, I'm not strong enough to make this rotation. So this might, I'll tell you two different things I'd love you to do. I'd love you to get as high up behind this kneecap, not for any particular reason. It's just that if I tell you that should be a trigger, it enables you to, you're like this coming forward, and what happens is a lot of people aren't very flexible, and they can't get this leg under this hip. So now I'm going to sit up for a second. When I fall back at this point and Nathan come up, this leg is getting stuck here, so he can't finish it off. Now, this helps me, because what's the worst case scenario? He came this way, he didn't go the other way. I was worried about the hitchhiker. I could care less about this. This I can take out in 2 seconds and bring it back over the top. What I cared about was you going this way, because my grip was different. It wasn't your standard grip where you're like this on a Kimura where I can control it. I was on one grip. I came high. I had a wedge on the bottom line. I know I'm giving you a lot of details, and there's times that I won't and I do, but you know what? If we capture it one time on the Happy Pill thing, then you could go back and go, oh man, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. And then you could take it a lot of different ways. So I'm painting these bigger stories so you understand how the game could potentially play, depending on how he plays the game. So I'm like this, elbow came tight, made this wedge, brought this over. Now I'm gonna let you guys pick. If you're very advanced, you wanna open this up, bring this through, that's easy. That's simple. Everybody could do that. I'd rather you go, okay, I just switched my hips, go to turtle. Okay, I'm this way. And I'm going, boom, legs out, driving down on the skull, dropping him. Upon landing, I throw the bottom leg over and I flip my hips. You can do that. That I'd like to see from a high-level player. Number two is, okay, I'd rather we drill one and not mess them up. So let's do one, get it down packed, and then we'll do the other one. Now I'm going to ask you to flip low. You're like this. You just came over, you did everything right, and you're like this, and you go, dude, this guy really, I can't open this up, and he's driving back, but I got 2 wedges on this, so I bring this foot even higher, right? And I'm gonna make this commitment now. I'm gonna ask Raf to film it, and let me flip this side, right? This is the hardest one from the beginning till you're flexible. Right now, his jawline is sitting on my inner thigh. I just told you this long story about this instep when it first curls up and why I did that. This is also important. If I painted this picture where I'm very, size and strength are really drastically different for me, it's critically important that I control this goal. What's the purpose of side control pin and control? So what you're seeing is this. So forget about this right now. When I pick this up, at no point will Ethan ever be allowed to return face me, meaning that his head isn't going to freely move. So when I'm here sitting back, my leg is kicking out to turn, but I've never released the side of that jaw. So in case he were to come up, I want barriers. I don't want him turn the other way. I don't want him looking this way, because now he's going to start coming up and it gives him momentum. So pay attention to it. As you get better at it, it's a vicious position to be in, because if I'm like this, I'll keep turning his head out until I can capture this, and it hurts. And now I'm going, okay, let's go back to the position where we couldn't get control. So what did I say? I went high. I didn't let go of that face. I'm like this. I cover this tight because I want to own this. I later will understand. I will flip my hands to the positions I need them. But right now, all I'm doing is controlling this elbow and taking this back leg and putting it over. How I transfer later, I don't know. I may go arm bar high, I may flip my hands. I don't need you to worry about that yet, because that will become so situational depending on his angle. So I'm not going to tell you do this. Absolutely not. It's false. Because he's going to turn on you and he's going to have different escapes on you. He might be a hitchhiker. He might not be a hitchhiker. He may be a guy that wants to roll into you. I even get somersaulters. From that position, they'll somersault over in the middle pocket. So there's a lot of different positions that are going to go down. I don't really care about it right now. I got to get you to the set before you proceed. So let's partner up. Let's do it. Those arm bars, if you don't add this to it, you're going to peak out. You're going to peak out. You go, okay, hypothetically, you're 150. You go, I'm just using this as really random. And you go, I can finish a guy at 190. Anything that goes over 210, I can't get there. You know, because now you start going, okay, you limit your options. And now in a realistic set, I just told you, you're not taking this guy's arm part. There's no, you know, I don't mean no disrespect. There's certain people, like, I'm not a big guy, but I'll let you have that, and you're just too small. You're not strong enough to, so I'll let you sit there all day. And like, you're not going to separate. And it's just because the size and the strength is just too much. And that's really a small person, because I'm not a big guy, right? So I want to describe something to you. When you first fall back, you have to understand this man's moves. And if you don't understand his patterns after, you'll have very limited success. You're like this. And I just told you that you came, let's flip this the way we were. I'm like this, so they see it from this side. I just said, like, you went like this, picking him up. You made this wedge, and now you're going, you know what? I don't even want to take the chance of flipping my hands. I'd rather just put my hands, and this is going to happen really fast. So I didn't have to come here. Like, I wanted to submit you. You weren't letting me pass you. You were putting this leg on here. You weren't letting me mount. All these other things that came into the equation. When I'm here like this, and I just said, hey, I'm going to replace. If you remember one thing, I replaced. I keep replacing. So I'm like this, and now I replace this hand. And now I'm on this hand's coming up. What is this hand going to do? This hand's a very particular goal at this point. When I first fall back, I see so many people doing this. They're falling back, and they're putting their hands like this on the inside. What do you think he's going to do? He has a clear hitchhiker with you having zero control. Zero, right? So when this hand comes up, what was the purpose of this hand? This hand had a purpose. I tell you, everything goes to something else, just as a random. So I'm going to double grip this elbow for what reason? And now you're going to make this transfer high. He's out the door already, because you're not going to be able to shell the elbow on the inside. So when this hand leg comes over, I just told you what happened. My hand was here. This guy got replaced. Now his hand's coming over the top. This hand has one goal, to cover his wrist. So I'm gonna do it slowly so that everybody can see. As I'm falling like this hand was going like this. I'm on top. Because as I'm on top, I'm gonna pull hard this way. Ethan will tell you, man, it hurts. I'm gonna start false grip, because as I'm falling back, I wanna own this arm. That as he comes to turtle or any position, he's gonna take me for his ride. I'm not stopping, right? I'm not letting go of this arm. I've isolated it. How we roll later could be a lot of different ways, how I bring my legs in, depending on how he lands. But if I don't have this coming over, and controlling the top of the wrist, you're gonna have a very poor, because now the elbow line can switch so easy, and he has rotations left and right. You know what the reason they do this? They come like this. This is BJJ 101. You're like this, you come over, and then you're supposed to, right, put your hand on this side, okay? Put your hand here, and you're supposed to separate. You know what the hand here is for? The hand here, now I don't believe in this one at all, so in the future we'll deal with this, but you're like this. The hand is pulling this way for a reason, because on the elbow rotation it wants to go this way. So I pull this way aggressively, and now I'm hanging over here. This has good and bad, and we'll deal with this in the future. I'd rather go like this and hang over the top the other way, but you have to understand this foot first. And now I'm telling you about this foot coming over. There's one other thing I want to correct also. When this foot comes over, sometimes I'm seeing feet on same sides. High level player, you can't put those feet down. Meaning that both of my feet are south of his elbow or potentially north, okay? They just can't sit here, right? If they're north, I'll get into this more detail later, but if they're north, they're gonna clear me too easy. Whether you decide to butterfly, whether you decide to take both feet and flip one over and then transfer over, maybe I just transfer one and I throw long on the other side. There's a lot of different combos I could do, but I just, for fundamental purposes, feet don't stay on the same side. Whether you decide to cross them, where one foot's here and one foot's here, but don't do that. Because fundamentally later, high-level player will get out too easy on you, okay? So you had a couple of things. When you fall over, pay attention to your elbows. And then I'm telling you, as you fall back, pay attention to the far side elbow. Everything is based on that far side elbow. On a high-level break of the arm, you gotta pay attention to that far side elbow. So when you fall back this time, cover it. He should feel, I did it to a couple of guys, and if you wanna feel it, I'll do it to you. Where afterwards they usually say, it's like, damn, my hand was gonna go to sleep. I only held the position for about 5 seconds. So imagine, and I never, on anybody that felt it just now, did I hold the position and give you 100%. If you let me give you 100%, I'll put your hand, and not because it's me, I don't ever want you to think, it's just, you know what, you know the grip, you're holding it, it's totally bent, he's controlling it, it's a painful grip, but it allows you to set your feet and everything else up in place. You got about 5 minutes, you can drill any of them or all of them, I don't care, as long as you drill over. And this is how this would go live, I wouldn't even pause. I'm coming over the top, I'm in my wedges, and I go, whoa, and I'm over. And now like this, okay? When you land here, okay, this is how your hands go. I want to inflict as much pain as I possibly can. So this hand, let's talk about this hand. You're like this. This hand makes a fist and curls up this way, because I'm going to dig this bone right into this muscle right here, okay? So don't keep this guy squared. That's nice to him. I don't want to be nice. So my hand comes over and it curls up, okay? Secondly is, once I've done this, okay, this is all happening together as you get better at it. My shoulder on this side is rotating back because I want to inflict as much pain as possible. Now the far side is pushing forward. So I just told you to curl, pull back, push forward. 2 to 3 different things. So you're going to see him flinch, unfortunately. You're like this, and now I'm here, and now I just told you your blade's correct. I'm going to be pushing forward as I rotate. So if you see me start pressing these guys down as I rotate, and now you're feeling this. And it hurts, Yeah, it really does. Are you okay? Yeah. So there were 3 things in there that as you practice it with your partner, I've done it to a few people and tell you it hurts and like you can't move your fingers. What I really cared about was the rotation of the elbow socket. So I don't want that elbow socket rotating until I set my feet in place and what I'm going to transfer to, whatever may be, arm bar, maybe I transfer that to a mount on the other side. It could be a lot of different things, depending on how he reacts, okay? So I want to control that elbow socket. Let's do it, guys. If you forget, go on Happy Pill. Those videos were non-stop on how we get behind here, how we insert, how we recover, hip flips, everything. So you should be really kind of coordinated if you read long. If you haven't, if I see all messed up, I'll be yelling at you. You don't watch the Happy Pill. Okay, guys? So let's do it.